so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting, especially since they're helping to fund all the cool projects we have in the works, such as the Positive Head app, the docuseries that I'm intending to begin shooting within the next year, and whatever else we dream up over here at Positive Headquarters to help spread consciousness across the planet. Now, if you're short on time or just super excited for today's topic and want to dive right in and skip these ads, feel free to fast forward about
2.5 minutes
to get right into today's show. That being said, I strongly encourage you to listen because the reason I'm passionate about my sponsors is because they've made a huge impact in my own life, which is why I've aligned with these organizations. And I firmly believe they can do the same for you too. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm extremely passionate about promoting is Purium. The reason I've aligned Positive Head with Purium is because I wholeheartedly stand behind their mission to end human suffering by making superfoods easily available to everyone, with the ultimate goal to help restore mankind's harmony with nature in the process. I mean, what a noble mission, right? It's no mystery that you need to bring your mind, body, and spirit into balance if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. And for me, for years, I honestly felt like I was ahead of the curve in the mind and spirit category, but I was only average at best in the level of care I administered to my body. Sure, I was healthy-ish when it came to the food I put into my system, but after doing a Purium 40-day transformation with a 10-day metabolic reset and cleanse, I can honestly say I have reestablished my relationship with food in a very positive way. Not only did I drop the extra weight that I was carrying as a natural byproduct of the transformation so that I'm now at my ideal body weight, but I continue to feel like my best self by starting every day with an organic Purium power shake that is made from raw superfood ingredients that were meticulously harvested, thoughtfully combined to optimize the nutritional impact it has on my body. I view the shake as plant medicine, really, and it happens to taste really delicious, and I can make it in about 30 seconds. There's actually 4 core Purium products that I take every day, and honestly, I intend to do so for the rest of my life for a very scientifically sound reason. And if you want to learn more about those reasons, you can go check out my video at positivehead.com/transformation, where I go into more detail. If you end up buying any of the Purium products, be sure and use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the show. Here we grow again. So happy to be with you as always. It's a pleasure and honor to connect. And today we are going to talk about, let's see. Well, I'm going to read actually a wonderful, beautiful post by my dear friend Sydney Campos, who was actually on a powwow not so long ago, episode 677. I'll throw that out there now. So if you like what I read and discuss, you can go check that out for a deeper dive. But yeah, it was a pretty cool sort of synchronicity. Surprise, surprise. As I was trying to figure out what to talk about today, I started listening to some a video, a talk from Esther Hicks Abraham, which I'm not going to share one today, but what I was listening to, all about understanding subtle vibrations. And then I was like, oh, hold on. There was also that post I saw a couple days ago from Sydney. That was really good. Maybe I'll read that. And so I went and checked that. And then I remembered, oh, Sydney's like the empath experience author, which is all about people who are really sensitive to subtle vibrations. So obviously this is what wants to come through today. So we're going to dive down the rabbit hole a little bit on this topic. And before we do, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, but they also could help me to stay inspired to continue this labor of love. So if you haven't reviewed on iTunes, please do so. This one came in by Dreamland Explorer, and it says, "Thank you for keeping me awake and high vibrational. This podcast found me at a time when I needed it most. I am 29 years old and just beginning to tap into my higher self and light worker abilities after receiving therapy for past traumas. Listening to Brandon and his guest speakers consistently really has kept my vibration higher and led to some amazing results. The other night I had a dream where a guide assisted in putting me in a trance and showing me 2 scrolls with the following messages. After reading the messages, the guide told me I could access these sorts of things on my own if I worked on staying open and high vibrational. Here are the messages I received in the dream. You are a divine light source. Do not let it dim, for you have work to do. Letting go is a beautiful moment in the collective journey. I truly believe Brandon and his abilities to wake people up and keep them awake and moving along through their spiritual journeys played a part in getting me to a state where I can receive these kinds of meaningful dreams and messages. Thank you so much for all you do. I love you all so much." Oh, thank you, Dreamland Explorer. And how perfect. I didn't even know what review was queued up next. I just read them in chronological order most of the time. 95% of the time. Every now and then I'll read one out of order. But what do you know? Talking about what is Dreamland Explorer talking about here? It's talking about being sensitive to vibrations and opening up to more sensitivity. And of course, what comes with that? Different types of experiences, messages with guides, intuition. I mean, it can come in all different forms. How things come to each of us can be different, right? So very, very interesting and adding to the synchronicity. Oh, one thing before I read what Sydney wrote here and then I'll continue, I want to throw out is for any of you who have not joined the Facebook group, it's Positive Heads with an S. We just passed 6,000 lovely P-heads, connecting, sharing, opening up with one another. So yeah, I definitely love to see your bright and shiny happy face in there. And also some questions. I'm feeling the urge to take some questions, maybe even do a live connect call with someone to, just kind of, if someone has a really powerful question or circumstance and they'd like to get my perspective on it. I'm feeling the urge to do that. Actually, my good friend Ronit brought this up the other day to me. Well, for one, I did it with Chris Jackson not so long ago, and that was awesome. Who's a regular co-host, hasn't been on in a few weeks, but we did that. Then my friend Ronit reached out and said, "Brandon, I just had this epiphany. You really, you've sat down with so many of my friends and talked to them directly and answered their questions, and then their lives are transformed." This is talking about sitting in person because, we live near each other and see each other regularly. And she's like, "I think you should do that on the show, have people on." And I was like, well, actually, I just did that with Chris and I've done that via taking questions before. But, we got talking about, I was like, yeah. Doing it with someone else is one thing and I could always do it on my own as well. And I do it all the time when I'm in person with people. Right. So she was very inspired with that idea after having seen, the impact on her own kind of friend group when we get together. And anyway, right after she said this, she then a moment later was like, I forget exactly, this was like a week or two ago. There was a billboard she passed and said, "Call Brandon." I think it was something like that on big letters. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, you need to do live calls with people." And literally right after we hang up, I see this billboard. So that was her synchronicity. So I'm thinking about doing some of that, feeling that could be a good thing. So any of you who feel called to potentially participate in that, why don't you write in what your situation is, and perhaps I'll bring you on. You can write me at brandon@positivehead.com. And I'd love to hear what your scenario is, and if it's one that really resonates, then I'll reach out and we'll set something up to do a call, and you can be a guest on the show in that way, and see how that goes. Something new and exciting to explore. All right, so here's the post from Sydney that I'd like to read, and Sydney wrote, "You're pure," and she posted it in the Facebook group, by the way, so you can go find it there if you're in there. But she wrote, "Your pure presence is your most magnificent contribution. Never mind anything you do or create. Never mind your title or your story on your identity, your soul's purpose, your mission. Your presence, your energy, your unique radiance is your most potent expression. This is your why. Everything else, all that you do and make and co-create and dream into aliveness, is icing on the cake. It's all for fun. Why else would you be doing any of it all? Why else would you be doing any of it at all anyway? Remember, this is the game you came to play and eventually master. The soul signature you came here to embody. The frequency you came to hold. This is your essence that's so infinitely important to the whole. You are not just a mirror for our shared soul magnificence, beloved. Although I love how you help me finally to see, feel, and express fully all the love that I am, that we are, simply in receiving your divine reflection. But we are not just mirrors, my love. Remember, we are fountains. Unstoppable in our infinite light, radiating beyond time and space, across, within, and through all dimensions. I love loving you. Thank you for being here to share the most extraordinary adventure within all consciousness, dreaming our soul-inspired visions awake, remembering that we are always the ones we have been waiting for. Pound #heaven on earth. Love this. Beautiful, inspiring, and, so good. Never mind your title or your story on your identity or your mission, your presence, your energy, your unique radiance. That is your most potent expression. This is your why. Isn't that a relief to know? I definitely agree 100%. And that's such a relief to know. My number one thing I'm here to do is be me. Fully feeling all the feels, learning to increase my sensitivity to subtle vibrations, right? Fine-tuning myself and playing, really. One of the things, so Sydney and I actually met at the Superhero Academy gathering in Costa Rica before Envision Festival. And I talked about that in earlier episodes you can go back and find. But, I actually just interviewed a fellow superhero yesterday, Charles, and he talked about you doing this very thing. One of the things we talk about is vacation vibration. You'll hear in the forthcoming powwow with him, and sending love to strangers. He talks about how he goes into a coffee shop and he just is telling the person, the barista, that he loves them without saying it, without words. And that just hit me as so powerful. You'll hear my reaction to it. I just like, wow, what a wonderful thing to do, to play with your energy, to play with humanity, to play with your vibration. Learning to increase, not only increase your sensitivity to subtle vibrations, learning to fine tune yourself. And by the way, when you're doing that, paying attention to these subtle cues and feelings in your body, pay attention when something satisfying happens and acknowledging what led to it. What was the setup that led to that, that experience? What were you feeling prior? What cues did you have that maybe you followed? For some reason, I just felt like I needed to stop and go in here, and then this magical thing happened at the grocery store. I really didn't even need anything. For some reason, I just felt the crazy urge to get almond milk, and I already have a gallon in the fridge, right? Whatever it is. And then you bump into someone and you end up having a very meaningful interaction or experience. They inspire you, you inspire them, what have you. Learning to tune to these subtle vibrations. And paying attention, becoming more aware. You are an instrument, and as you fine tune your instrument, you're going to start noticing the cues and tapping into the subtle vibrations that are flowing through you. Then you on the other side of that is what I was just talking about with Charles. Practicing, getting into the practice of saying, okay, now I'm going to consciously actually play with my energy and start throwing it around in a really good way. I'm going to start practicing sending subtle vibrations, right? Because if I'm looking at a complete stranger and sending them love, right, telling them I love them, that vibration is emanating from me, and it is interacting with everything about their being. It's emanating through my chakras, through my aura, which is merging with theirs and literally sending communication back and forth between each other. We're not just processing information at the five senses, right? There's much more going on than that. And you start playing with those. Say, okay, go out today. I challenge you in a situation where you are something is mundane, and see if you can bring more excitement to it by playing, by sending subtle vibrations of love. What are you doing in that when you do that, by the way? What Sydney was just talking about in her writing, you're becoming a fountain, right? That's exactly what you're doing. Your heart is opened, which we've talked a lot about lately. Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul, talks about the only thing important to do is to leave your heart open. Nothing else matters, because that's when you're tapped into source. And most people are opening and closing it all day long like a valve based off of external stimuli. If this happens, I open it. If this happens, I close. If this happens, and it's kind of like a Ferrari starting and stopping all the time. It never really gets to fully use and realize the full expression of what it's capable of. Well, this is how you do it. Leaving your heart open, making the choice. The only thing that matters is that you leave your heart open. When you do that, it's like leaving the faucet on. What happens if you leave the faucet on? It's going to eventually it's just going to overflow and flood the whole house. Well, in this case, we want heart-centered energy, aka love, aka source consciousness, overflowing as a fountain from us. So if you go in and you start playing with this whole idea of sending subtle vibrations to people around you, not only learning to better read them, but to send them, and then seeing how it affects them, what a fun game, right? Do it today. And like I said, you're going to hear me talk about this a little bit more in the forthcoming powwow, among a lot of other things. It was an awesome powwow. You guys are going to love it. But it's just like, what a great way to take what may otherwise be a boring, mundane scenario from one perspective, right? And transforming it. This is a way out, actually. This is your way out by bringing the play to it, bringing the joy to it, sending and spilling love vibration over into everything and everyone around you. And then getting to see, and I think of my mother, who talks about how she likes to, whenever someone is like kind of not nice or closed off to her, it's like a hobby for her to open them up. And she's really good at it. And so what a great thing. Instead of saying, screw them, I'm closing down to you, and like, you're going to be kind of closed off to me. Okay, I'm going to be closed off to you. Say, I see this as a challenge, because really they're just hurting, right? This actually makes me think of the song that I played not too long ago, and maybe I should play it again at the end of today's episode, since I'm bringing it up now, from Cosmic Quest, I believe, let me see here, Sea Salt and Silk, and it's featuring Ali Michelle, who I think said the lyrics that are at the top, and she said, "Give a gift to each person you meet. If you knew their whole story, you'd find none of your judgments to be concrete. Imagine if every soul you meet is one of your guides. Look deeper, and you may recognize them beneath their human disguise. For in the end, we are not so different, and all of us are equally significant. Our shells may vary in color and size, but we are connected through universal love inside. Love it. So good. It's like if you knew their whole story, none of your judgments would be concrete, right? So instead of that, any of that judgment nonsense, which is really just anytime we fall into judgments, is like I like to say, the level of our judgment is equivalent to our level of ignorance, right? You're not fully understanding when you're judging anyone or anything. So taking that wisdom, all is perfectly divine, everyone is acting rational based off their view of the universe and their experience and where they're at. Taking that knowledge and saying, oh, cool, I am going to transform this person instead of allowing any negativity that may be emanating off of them to bring me down. My aim is to bring them up, right? Because I understand they're just hurting, right? And so what a fun game to play. What a better way to step out into 3D reality and make it a game, make it fun, make it a celebration. And you will find as you do that, of course, more and more opportunities to transform others, more and more reflections of the beautiful energy that you're emanating. And life just gets better and better. And this is the formula. And I love it. And I love you guys. As always, this has been such a joy, pleasure, honor to connect, co-create. I did have another song queued up, but since I decided to read that particular wonderful bit from Ali Michelle in the Cosmic Quest song, Sea Salt and Silk, seems appropriate that I just play that again. I think I played it a few months back. But yeah, the song is Sea Salt and Silk featuring Ali Michelle by Cosmic Quest. Hope you enjoy and love it as much as I do. Till next time, journey well. Love you all. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Give a gift to each person you meet. If you knew their whole story, you'd find none of your judgments to be concrete. Imagine if every soul you meet is one of your guides. Look deeper and you may recognize them beneath their human disguise. For in the end, we are not so different, and all of us are equally significant. Our shells may vary in color and size, but we are connected through universal love inside. every soul. Every person is a reflection of your perspective, mirroring how much you have grown. Through a web of synchronicity, we are deeply connected, with each lesson learned, walking each other home. Pay close attention to the language of the heart. You'll hear its whisper in silence. If you're present enough,